Hi everyone, my name is Laura Milligan and welcome to my stamping studio that I refer to as the Bee Spot. I'm so glad you're joining me today. I have a really beautiful card that I want to share featuring a stamp set called Life is Beautiful. It's a perfect stamp set for year-round stamping, all seasons, and I have fallen in love with it. Before we start creating our card, I would love to ask if you have not visited my YouTube channel before, if you would subscribe. All you need to do is click on the button down below and then you will be subscribed to my channel and I would be very grateful. Okay, let's get to stamping. All right, so this is the Life is Beautiful stamp set. It is found in our August to December mini catalog. And you can see there's 3 word stamps and then these different stamps that you can put around the tree that represent different seasons depending on what color of inks you choose. So I'm going to create a winter card today, and I'm starting with a basic black, or I'm sorry, basic gray, 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and I want to show you a little tip. I'm going to turn this around. So on my paper trimmer, I have 2 different blades. The dark gray is a cutting blade. I'm going to slide that down this way for now. And then the light gray is a scoring blade, and I'm going to start out using that. This is a nice little tip for when you start making your cards. I'm only going to score once and cut once, and I'll end up with two perfect card bases. So I'm going to score it 4 1/4 the long way, and then I'm going to slide this up out of the way and turn my cardstock, and now I'll be cutting at 5 1/2. And that will give me 2 card bases that are both already scored. I'm going to set my paper trimmer around, and I only need 1 of the card bases for today since I'm just making 1 card. But oftentimes what I'll tell people is if you're getting your supplies out and you're creating 1 card, why not make 2? You have 2 card bases, so why not make 2? All right, I'm going to just burnish this fold with my bone folder and set that card base aside for a moment. The next thing I'm going to do is take a panel, a small panel. This is cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, also basic gray, and I'm going to emboss this. And I cut this so that it will completely cover the front panel of my card. That was the look that I wanted when I created this card. So I'm going to use the brick and mortar embossing folder. And another little tip, our embossing folders have these lines that go across, and they really come in handy when you are embossing, for example, these bricks. You most likely want to have your brick pattern to be straight. And so if you just line up the edge of your cardstock along that line, you will get a straight row of bricks if that's the look that you want. So I ran that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and here's my embossed panel. Now I purposely for this one decided that I wanted my bricks to go vertically rather than horizontally. I just liked the look. And I think when you're stamping, whatever you like is great. All right, I'm going to attach this panel with my Stampin' Seal. And I find that when I'm attaching an embossed panel, I want to be generous with the adhesive. It just helps this textured embossed panel to grab hold of the card base. All right, so there we have that. Now I'm going to use my, I'm going to add some designer paper. This is the Plaid Tidings designer paper. It is a 6x6 stack, also from the August to December mini catalog. And just look at these beautiful patterns. This has been super, super popular since our catalog launched on August 1st. Really pretty. And then additional patterns, different patterns on the back side. Look how beautiful those are. All right, so let me find the pattern that I want to use. I'm looking for this gray one. There it is. I'm going to use this on my card today. And I'm going to be cutting this 3 by 5 3/4. So I'll bring up my paper trimmer again. And I'm going to start by cutting, I'm sorry, it's 4 3/4. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off, and then I'll turn and cut it 3 inches. So I'll have enough to make 2 of these. So there's 2 pieces. I, again, only need one. I'm going to set one aside. And I'm going to attach this diagonally, just like that. So I'll get out my Stampin' Seal again. And I will angle that right on there like that. Okay, and then the next panel, I have gone ahead and cut a stitched rectangle shape, and let me bring these dies in because they are amazing. Look how many dies that you get in this set. These are the rectangle stitched framelits, and for my card I used the second to largest, which is right here. So I cut that out with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which I am loving, by the way. And one thing I love about these, which I guess you can tell from the name, is that they're stitched. So you're not just cutting out rectangles, you're cutting out a rectangle that has stitching all the way around it. And this is the panel that I'm going to do some stamping on. The Life is Beautiful stamp set is photopolymer. So when I use photopolymer stamps, I like to have something that has some foam in it to give it a little give. I feel like you get a better impression that way. So I am going to go ahead and put this on here. And I'm going to bring in this very large tree stamp. And I'm going to ink it up with Smoky Slate ink. Get that inked up real well. I'll flip it over and stamp that right on this rectangle. Some of it's going to hang over the edge, but that's just fine. I'm going to give it a good push and then pick it straight up. And there we have our tree. Next, I want to add, well, I might as well do the greeting. That is also done in the Smoky Slate ink. I'm going to go ahead. I chose the one that says thinking of you. And I'm going to just stamp that right there, the side of my tree. And again, this pad, this is our deluxe foam mat. It actually is made to be used with a Stamparatus, but I like it for stamping on, like I said, because of the foam, but also because it's laminated. So if I get ink on this, it doesn't matter. I can just rub it right off, and adhesive as well. Okay, then I'm going to add some snow. So I'm using Seaside Spray, one of my favorite colors. I love this color, and let me find my stamp. Here's my snowflake stamp. I'll go ahead and get that out and put it on a block. Everybody likes the photopolymer stamps, of course, because you can see through and you can see exactly where you're stamping. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up and just add a few snowflakes. Now, before I re-ink it, I'm going to stamp again because I want to get some variation in color. I want some light and some dark. And I'll do that several times across this tree. Okay, maybe just one more, 2 more right there. Okay, so there's my tree. Love that color combination. I think it's so pretty. All right, I'm going to attach this over the plaid panel, and I'm going to be using dimensionals. So I'll add one in each corner. And I'll just put this straight on the card front. So pretty. Okay, and then I wanted to add something else, and I actually used my autumn wheelbarrow dies. I love this, and you will be seeing more cards coming from this bundle from me in the future, but I love this picket fence. It's a perfect size, really cute, cuts out like a dream, and so I used that and some Whisper White cardstock to cut out a picket fence, and I'm going to position that across the front of this tree, like it's almost like a little scene. and I'm going to use my mini dimensionals. I'm going to use my paper snips first, and if I position this, I'd like to have a tree, or I'm sorry, a picket on either side so that it looks more even. So if I just snip along here and here, let me go ahead and do that with my paper snips. When you cut out this picket fence die, it actually, I don't know if you can see it, but it actually has some texture on the fence posts, which I love that. I love all the little subtle details. Okay, these I'm going to put away, but I'm going to use now my mini dimensionals, and I'm just going to add one here, one in the middle, and then one on the end. And that will be all I need to attach this. Pull those backings off. And you know what, a little bit of this is showing, and I don't want that to show. So I'm just going to take my paper snips and snip that off. Kind of hide that, I don't want that to show. Same thing over here, I probably actually could have cut these in half. I probably would have been smart to do that. I'll do that on the next one I make. All right, so we'll just snip that off so that we don't see that, and I'll just position that then right there on my card. Okay, and I'm going to push some of that under. I don't want it to show. All right, so there's my card front, and then I used, these are our frosted and clear epoxy droplets, and I wanted to add some of the frosted ones to this scene because I thought they just looked perfect. So I like to use my Take Your Pick tool, and this end has putty on it, and it just helps pick up and grab these little embellishments. So I'm going to add just a few. I'll put a couple on my tree. I like to use embellishments in threes. I think that's a good pattern. And then down by my words, I'm going to pick up this bigger embellishment, the bigger size. Whoop, just slipped off. And I'm just going to put that right there. All right. Isn't that pretty? I just love the colors. They're just so soft and pretty. All right, and then I want to finish my card by adding a panel of Whisper White on the inside. This is cut 4 by 5 1/4, and I always line my cards with these unless I'm using a thick Whisper White card base. I just feel like this finishes the card. So anytime you purchase a class to go from me, you will get these little panels for the insides of your cards as well when we're using colored cardstock. All right. And then I thought, I didn't really put a greeting on the inside for this, but I thought it would be pretty to use this Seaside spray again and just add a few little light snowflakes just to make it a little pretty. So I'll just randomly stamp some, and then I could just write whatever I want on there. And then, of course, I like to stamp, when I am stamping, I like to add something on my envelope. That just really finishes the card. So I think I might do, let's see, what am I going to do? I'll just take my greeting, the thinking of you, and just stamp that right in this corner. And then again, I can add some more of these little snowflakes around it. That might be pretty. All right. So there is a very pretty wintry card created with the Life is Beautiful stamp set. I will be adding all the measurements and supplies that I've used in the description below. If you need any Stampin' Supplies, I would be grateful for your order. You can order them in my online store, and I will include the link for that as well. So thank you so much for watching today. And just a reminder, if you would subscribe to my channel by clicking on the button below, I would be so grateful. And as always, I hope you have time to be creative today. Thanks so much, everyone.